start with in a tryout, you're looking for guys who are going to do jobs. And as depressing as it sounds, the higher the level you go, the more work it is. We're going to look at our piece of paper and I'm looking for a centre mid. Who can get the ball under pressure? Who can ping a ball? Who can switch the play? Who can play one touch in tight areas? So those are the traits I'm looking for. Just like you would of a striker, who can create chances, who can score goals, who can hold the ball up. So we're looking for players who do jobs. So you've got to walk that careful line of being impactful, but not making silly decisions on the ball. You can be easily tossed out of contention if you're making the coach look like you're a selfish player. Yeah. You know, and then there's the flip side of that. So many players go to tryouts and they're not seen. They let the game go by them, whether it's nerves or whether maybe they didn't get on the ball as much. You know, you often see the left side winger doesn't get the ball because they haven't got a midfielder who's left-footed or a centre-back who's left-footed, so they're always going to the right, you know, so the left winger or the left-back's never getting the ball.
When you're scouting or choosing a player for your team, what wins for you? Natural talent or coachability?
Well, of course, the alignment of it all.
Yeah, that's a perfect world.
That's when you get your top pro players.
Yeah.
So natural ability is a funny one because, you know, there's a lot of research out there that really debunks natural ability because kids aren't born with soccer balls, right? However, they're probably brought up in an environment that for some reason or other creates an amazing athlete, soccer player, has an amazing desire, you know what I mean? So I think it's where nature and nurture clash to make these amazing
perfect
pros. Yeah, you know, yeah. When I read Maradona's book, the reason he had huge thighs was because he used to carry water to and from his village, right? You know, so those little things I find fascinating that really cultivates this player. Some natural DNA traits are going to go against you big time, but some are going to go for you, especially if they align with your environment and what your culture is like. If you're born in a footy-mad country. Coachability, well, I think, you know, I'll align coachability with motivation. Motivation and commitment trump everything for me. Because, you know, the old saying of hard work beats talent. You have to be committed and motivated to work hard.
But don't you think that there has to be obviously some natural talent? Because there can't be just nothing. Some people it just happens to not being able to even kick the ball. But when do you know that natural ability is enough to have, with good coaching, that something can be done? That's like a fine line where, yes, there's a lot of talented players. There's a lot of talented players lacks motivation or lacks the coachability. But there's also a lot of people that are coachable, but there is almost no natural talent.
Well, I think that it's a moving target all the time.
Yeah.
So, for example, you and I, a lot of us have met people who could have gone on and do much better things. Because of their mindset, it's limited them. So the reason I say it's a moving target is because these folks have a lot of talent and they have some drive and some motivation, but it will only take them among top of their peers. And this is all to do with ego, right? And there's a lot of research behind this self-determination theory. What they want to do is they want to be better than me and you. They want to be better than us, and they're happy with that. They're the big dog in the pound, and they're good with that. They don't want to go on and on and on and on and on to see where they could get, because that would take going out of their comfort zone, probably seeing adversity, not being the top dog, extra stuff.
Yeah.
They don't want that, and we see a lot of that.
Yeah.
So they have got a certain amount of motivation, and they're probably fit, they're probably in the gym, but they don't have that extra bit that probably in pro environments, there's guys who are less talented, but have them extra levels to get there.
I definitely agree with that, because growing up playing in Turkey, I've been around a lot of players and a lot of talented players. Super talents, maybe some of them you can say. I know that those players that are really talented, I would say none of them made it. So they made it, like they played 3rd division, maybe 4th division, whatever. But those are the ones that I never would have thought that would make it. They made it. They played in the Champions League. They played in the Europa League. But they didn't have the most natural talent. They didn't have a lot of extra stuff. Yeah. But they just worked. They worked really hard. I would go home from practice. They would be at the gym.
Well, yeah, and you know that's their story is They would have never been who they were because they were becoming second and third.
Yeah.
That became who they were, and that became their fire and motivation. Whereas more talented guys and girls, they might feel they're on a one-way ticket to the pros or to the highest level.
Yeah.
And we all know it doesn't work like that.
No.
And it all ties in as well to maturation in the game. How many people have we known, like the guy at 13, 14 who has a beard and thighs, like, like Ronaldo, and he's getting in all the teams and getting picked? Well, there's a ceiling to that because he's going to get caught up. Yeah. And unless he has a growth mindset as well, then that's what happens. And we all know it's, 0.1% of people are going to make it.
Back in my day, players that I've been around, thinking that those ones, they were extremely talented. I feel like they had the thought of they've done it already, like they have everything. They have that talent and they know for a fact that they're gonna make it, so they don't put that extra effort. Where the other ones, they know that they are not as talented, so they have to put in that extra work to be able to catch up with those natural talented ones.
I think at that level as well, I mean, Messi and Ronaldo are just amazing examples of, they are the stars align with work ethic. And Ronaldo is very interesting because, he debunks a lot of the ego research, because he's got a huge ego, right? Yeah. One of the biggest, but no one probably works as hard as Cristiano, right? So he debunks a lot of that.
Yeah.
Another thing as well is when you get to a level where, even like university level, going into right down to pro level, people don't realize it's not just kicking a ball around. It's actually the training, the dealing with others, the social circles, whether it's academics involved or not, the lifestyle. It's the whole package, especially the training, the practicing, that you gotta nail. Yeah. The footy's easy. Yeah. Anybody can turn up and play footy, especially if you're talented. Yeah. That's a given. It's the practice. An old pro once said, we don't get paid to play the game. Yeah. We get paid to practice.
That's right.
Because anybody's going to play it for free.
That's right. How important it is for a player to adapt to different systems?
Very important. I think that players need to understand that these days, strategies and formations change within games now. It's very different, certainly, to when I grew up playing. So, and kids are very educated now on the game. So most people will know, like, some teams might play 4-3-3, attacking, and then out possession might switch into a 4-4-2. That's kind of a basic transition into how teams might change. But understanding your defensive roles in these situations is very important. I say defensive over most because even though there is tricky attacking positions to learn on the fly, or learn when you're changing systems, say from week to week or season to season, defensive ones, the ones you need to get right, because if you don't, obviously the repercussions are you might concede goals. Your role based on a defensive structure is really important to understand.